Just in case I forget later on, in your pack was a Pathways magazine, it's the brand new edition. And on page 17 onwards, 17, 18, 19, there's a whole section on what I'm going to talk about, which is growing new congregations. So if you remember nothing else, do have a look at that. That would be fantastic. And that will fill in the picture for you. Because this is something everyone can be part of. You don't have to live in Milton Keynes, one of our enormous conurbations. You don't have to live in Reading, another of our enormous conurbations, to take part. You can be in any one of our villages or existing congregations, whether it's church, church school, chaplaincy. Everyone can be part of this stream, and we hope you will be. Because we have an incredibly ambitious goal. We are encouraged to have a ridiculously ambitious goal, 750 new congregations between now and 2030. Why on earth would we think of doing that when we've got 719 churches already? Well, the first thing to get in mind is we're not talking about building new churches. There may need to be one or two in particular areas. That will be the absolute exception. They're incredibly expensive. It's not going to be the easiest thing to do. So we're not talking about 750 new church buildings. But we are talking about ways to reach out to this incredible mission opportunity. A population the size of Edinburgh moving into this diocese. Some of them will already be moving into houses very close to you, whether you're in village, suburb, or urban area. May well be many, many more if the Oxford-Cambridge Arc really does come into play, which we think it will. So there's all these new people, new housing areas. How do we respond to them? And then there's, in a sense, new demographics emerging, or particular demographics who may not be attracted to traditional models of church sometimes. It may be your people who all speak a different language. You're living in this country, you've come as refugees, or you've moved in. Sometimes you want to worship in your own native language. Or sometimes whole communities, like Iranians in England, actually have come to faith in quite remarkable numbers, quite remarkable ways. We may be connecting with those particular demographics. Or youth church, or people who just don't connect with, as I say, traditional models of church. It was wonderful. When I think of this 750 number, it can leave you quite sort of worried, but don't worry, it's up to the Lord. It came from him. But I think, why did we have this absolutely ambitious number? Well, it's partly because I'm a peer reviewer, so I go around other dioceses. Guildford pitched up for 100 in 10 years. They'd done 71 in the first 2 years. So they realized they'd pitched it far too low. It only needs one from each parish, chaplaincy, school, not even one, to actually easily hit that number. And just sitting around my little circle table yesterday, massively encouraged to hear of at least five new congregations, which I would classify as a new congregation, all of them in rural areas, because often the village churches lead the way, actually, because they're on the edge of change much more than they think. New ways of being church. So we're talking to a village church, telling a story of Sunday school had closed down, youth group had closed down. Only recently, people were sad about that. People felt this retrenchment. But sort of into that space came two primary school teachers, very loosely connected with church, said, could they do something outside called Mossy Church? And this now has once a month 30 plus people coming to Mossy Church, where they're doing the adults themselves are actually growing in their faith, discipleship-wise. They have a little time of prayer and worship outside. Just throw in a Holy Communion every now and again. You've got a full church, haven't you, there out in the countryside. Entirely lay-led, actually, and lay-directed. The clergy person giving the space for that to come. That's a new congregation, almost without even knowing it. Or another set of village congregations, 8 churches with just about 10 people in them. They decided once a month they all come together. So not on the 5th Sunday, just a few times. It's going to be every single month. They do this. They now have 70, 80 people packing into one of these tiny churches. Visiting speaker, questions afterwards, something completely different later in the afternoon, more informal. 2 new congregations, effectively, because only half that 80 are existing members. The other half are people who've started coming because it's something totally new, and it's a bigger gathering, and they're part of something new. So we have new congregations happening everywhere. Most of these will be small, most of these will be local, and the Development Fund in the autumn can help you develop your own if you need some resource for this. Then we've got some slightly bigger interventions, particularly in new housing areas, and I'm looking at those with the area teams now, and we're applying to the Strategic Development Fund. We're trying to do a £5 million bid at least for the next 5 years. Some of that will come from the diocese, some we hope from the national church. That's sometimes where we need a pioneer minister, or we're trying to develop resourcing hubs. And one of these we've already begun to develop because it's in an existing large church, so that's a start. But we've got lots of large churches. Why pick this one? Well, this is Greyfriars in Reading. Reading is an area of huge new housing, as well as relatively low proportions of people coming to church, relatively low resource in the city as a whole. The Reading Deanery Mission Action Plan had a whole picture of resourcing and revitalizing congregations within the city so they could respond to the mission opportunities. So that's the next reason we chose Reading, not just the need, but they'd actually got themselves together as a deanery to have a whole plan together for resourcing, planting, pioneering ministry. And Greyfriars was going to be at the center of this, as well as appointing an assistant area dean for resourcing ministry. Dave Walker is himself actually that assistant area dean, as well as a vicar of Greyfriars. So they made this new appointment, and they made a whole deanery plan. So this isn't one big church just getting ever bigger, one big church extending its empire across the whole of southeast England. This is a deanery saying, we want to do this together. How can mission strength in one place help to release mission energy in another? That's what we did in Oxford with St Aldate's and Barton. If you want to hear the story of that, talk to Eric Boswood. Do you want to raise your hand, Eric? That's it. Eric is the vicar of Barton. Really deprived, well, has been a very deprived estate right on the edge of Oxford. Whoever's there can so easily feel cut off. We've partnered with St Aldate's in the centre to help the mission strength of one just resource and liberate the mission energy and opportunity in another. And Eric is doing an absolutely amazing job with his people there. So Greyfriars had already had a record of planting 3 different congregations across Reading, helping to revitalise often existing churches, as well as responding to new opportunities. And now we're just putting in one tranche of money. So it's not a massive thing. It's one new person and housing for that person over the next 5 years. This is just a help to get them moving quicker, faster, further, if you like, with their deanery plan. The area bishop, the archdeacon, the assistant archdeacon, everyone very much involved in this plan. So the resourcing hubs, we commit to places. You can read all about that. I can send you details if you want. There's some details in there. These are parishes that are expressly Christ-like. If you think of Jesus Christ giving his own life to bring life to others. As I say, they're not churches in our eyes that suck in life. They're churches that give of their money, their people, their mission energy to bring life to others. That's what we want to see, Christ-like churches for the sake of God's world. So that's what we're doing. It's already underway. They've recruited this person who's coming, an extra curate, coming in the summer, and they're looking already to where that plant will be, the next one. So where are they now? This is what they're up to. And yeah, how can they actually move forward? Creating clarity and trust. Some more details there in the center of Pathways. You're welcome to ask questions. Happy always to talk over coffee. But the big message is, this is a big one, but if you're going to do this 750, we need to do it together. I am confident that with all the parishes playing their part, everyone discovering they can be part of this, we can do it together. So thank you.